I'm just gonna say it. The gear system in New World needs a revamp, and a big one. What's going on, guys? Steven with Level Up MMO here to talk about the gear system in New World, the flaws I think it has, and some of the solutions they may be able to put in place over time to make it a way better experience, because as of now, it's just not that exciting. And I want to be very clear, I'm not talking about the grind to get gear, because I think that is inevitable in any game, and I think that it can be enjoyable. However, I don't think that's the case in New World currently. I think it's come a long way to make the experience of getting the gear easier and more fun, or just more varied in the approach. You can do different types of content, i.e. the whole gypsum system, and of course being able to do your chest runs, your expeditions, arenas, OPR. You get where I'm going with this. There's a lot of variety in how you can get your gear, but what I want to talk about is the fact that the difference between those pieces of gear in terms of like the overall effect, not just the perks on them, but like the difference between a 600 piece and a 615 or a 625, we're talking like 1% or like 0.5% in a lot of ways. And it's just not a big difference. And recently with the Dragonflight expansion for World of Warcraft, I have been playing that, and it is reminding me of the flaws in the system. At the current state, and I know it's the fresh start of an expansion and all that sort of jazz, but they have the regular dungeons, then they have heroic versions, then they have the mythic version, then they have the mythic pluses. They can go up and up and up, and every piece of gear you get that's an upgrade feels amazing. It's noticeable, it has an impact on your character. The numbers are bigger, and that allows you to feel that difference. So when you go from, let's say, a 369 to a 379 in a piece, or two pieces or three pieces, your character got significantly better. Ooh.
There you go, Heartbreaker.
There, I got a cape. Epic. Whereas when you go from a 600 to a 615 or something like that in New World, you don't really notice it, except in mutators, and that's what we're going to talk about now, is that the only reason that they become significantly harder at the higher levels is, one, you just don't have your ward gear, or two, it's arbitrarily made more difficult just based on the fact that you don't meet that number, right? So how they have it, if you're not 625, they just make the mobs hit you harder if you are going into an M10. Not that your gear isn't good enough, because if you have a 623 piece, there's almost no difference. We're talking a percentage or less than a percentage of a difference between 623 and 625 on any aspect of it. And yet they just go, oh, actually you don't have the 625, so we're just gonna arbitrarily make it so everything just smacks you and your group around now. That's not how the gear system should work. And I do understand there's a difference in these games and how they approach it. New World is more focused on the perks that you want, which is why it is just this massive RNG roll as to which perks you get on your gear that makes so much of the gear you get completely useless, right? Because the stats on it or whatever, they're all going to be the same. You're not going to get this piece that is just amped up for specific stats and the other ones suck, right? It's just going to be what perks are on it. That's all you care about. And there is some of that when it comes to a game like World of Warcraft, because they have like trinkets and rings and stuff that might have abilities that proc, or you have to use them, whatever it might be. There's a percentage chance for certain things to happen, just like they have in New World. So you can combine both. You can have the actual gear score number or item level number impact how good the piece of gear is to a recognizable level while still having the perks. Maybe it just makes the perks even better because of it. But right now, it just doesn't scale really well. And I think this is leading to the next problem I want to talk about, which is I thought that there should be more tiers of mutations. They should go to 15 or even 20, and they're actually thinking about going to less tiers. So I'm gonna go ahead and show the clip where they talk about this, and I'll preface it by saying I do understand, as they'll mention in this clip, it's not necessarily because of that, but it's because people are spread really thin, and when you have the server capped to a certain amount of players, people can't have alts, yada, yada, yada. There is a discrepancy between the people trying to get into mutators, so in the first 1, 2, 3, 4 levels or so, and the people that have been doing it already, and they're already at 10. So you get into those middle stages and there's not really anybody around doing them. And so the idea was that they would squash them into less groups. However, then what do you do with the gear problem?
In my opinion, you guys should get rid of the 10 difficulties of mutations and instead only have 4.
I agree. I think we have too many levels of mutations and it makes finding groups hard. We are looking into squashing them to sort of make matchmaking easier to happen. We're not ready to commit on a date, but we're definitely looking into that, and it is gonna happen.
Now in this clip, they do say some things that lead me to believe maybe they do have something in the works.
And there are other changes that we're looking at longer term that, like, for things like this, the timing is really important. So there's you'd rather bottle up 2 or 3 things that are going to have that can all kind of be changed at the same time and make a lot of sense.
Interesting.
Interesting. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
What might we want to bottle that up with?
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
Now, this is a stretch, but I'm hopeful that they are combining it with a gear system revamp, right? Because otherwise, what do? Do you make it so anybody who's like 615 to 625 can go in? Does that mean that once you're 550, you can start hitting mutators and they just downscale everything to where at 500, you can run regulars more easily? I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing either. A lot of the time when you hit 60 or maybe like 480 or so maybe they make it at 520, you get into regulars. 550, you can start running the mutated 1s or 2s or 3s, and they kind of scale it up that way. But either way, they're going to start putting people who are less geared in with the 625s unless they just cap the top tier for 625 again arbitrarily. Either way, I want to feel excitement when I get a piece of gear that I don't get currently. Now, of course, once in a blue moon, you'll get that perfect piece. For instance, if you're looking for PvP gear that's like shirking fortification, freedom, resilient on the medium chest piece, and you're running light for everything else, and it has your main stat point, right? And maybe you'll get excited about that. Maybe you think, wow, that's worth a lot, I'll sell it. But for the most part, there's not enough gearing up and excitement at each step, I feel like. When you get a piece, there's not a big jump. And I love that feeling. And I know not everybody's like this, and some people just want to get to the end game with all the best gear. They don't care about the process of getting better and better gear. But I think it's a really exciting part of MMOs and something that I'm thoroughly enjoying right now with World of Warcraft. With all that being said, what do you think? Do you think there's a gearing problem? Do you like it the way that it is? Let me know down in the comments below. And of course, while you're scrolling down this page, make sure you click that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up if you like New World content or MMO content in general. You can also come chat with me about this live at twitch.tv/heartbreaker_TV. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Until then, good luck in your adventures.